You're watching Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney, Southwest Florida's #1 show for smart retirement planning. He's a best-selling author, radio personality, and a fiduciary advisor you can trust. Get ready for expert insights, straight talk, and strategies to secure your future. Now, here's Southwest Florida's premier investment advisor, Eric Kearney.
Welcome to Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Eric Kearney and Joseph Lanza of Retirement Wealth Advisors. And to our viewers at home, as always, thank you for welcoming us into your home each and every week. This is the spot that you always tune into for solid financial planning advice in regards to retirement. So thank you so much for being with us. Eric, how are you today?
Good morning, Cynthia. I'm great. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. How are you, Joseph?
Doing very well. How about yourself?
Doing wonderful. Thank you so much. And I know we have a little bit of growth to talk about today. Did I hear a rumor that you're now in Greensboro, North Carolina?
Yeah. Hello. Good morning, Greensboro. So we built a house up in North Carolina,
Yes.
and I love North Carolina. It really is a great place. And we've taken on a lot of people there. Farm Truck Financial Podcast is actually filmed often up there. So yes, hello, Greensboro, and welcome to our show. And we are great to be with you.
I am so excited about this. You're getting closer and closer to our hometown, Charlotte, so this is wonderful.
That's right, Cynthia.
Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about the retirement test that nobody ever runs. And now think about this for just a little bit. Today's going to be a deep dive into what should you be doing to make sure that you're ready for retirement. So Eric, I want to ask you a question. How often do people actually test their retirement plan? How often do they test it?
Yeah, so this is kind of crazy. So I love when somebody calls and they say, hey, we want to have our retirement plan reviewed, but it doesn't happen a lot. So what I did was I kind of dug deeper and into this, and I'm like, why don't people at this particular age have a financial plan? And I was kind of blown away. But Fidelity did a study, and it shows almost 7 in 10 Americans, or 67% of Americans, ages 50 to 74, which is the most crucial time to actually have a financial plan, do not have a financial plan.
What?
I was absolutely blown away. So we want to talk about how many people are not stress testing a retirement plan. But first, we have to address how many people don't even have a financial plan.
Exactly.
And the other thing that we see is that a lot of people confuse projections with a financial plan. It is like saying assumptions versus a true financial plan. And let me explain the difference. When you have assumptions, you are assuming a rate of return. When you have a financial plan, it is actually based on your true rates of return that even happened over the last 3 and 5 years or are happening in real time. So with a financial plan, we are dealing with real-time numbers instead of assuming. And we have a lot of people coming in with projections. Oh, Eric, I'm projected to do this. But it's not based off of any real information. So those are two huge things that we have to do. And I think that stress testing a lot of different areas in our entire financial plan is very important.
Yeah, and
Joseph?
you know, there's been 2 times that I've actually remembered somebody coming in with a retirement plan already. And both of those times, the first one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, with a binder about this thick that slams on the table, and it's like, you asked me to bring in my retirement plan, there it is, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was done for me 6 years ago. And it's like, okay. So then you start going through it and you're like, so are your expenses X amount of dollars? Well, no, that was written for me 6 years ago. Well, there's no inflation added in here, and this is what it said your expenses. So it's almost like immediately, well, the rest of that stuff doesn't mean anything because the expenses were wrong in there, right? And another time I had somebody bring it in, and I was actually pretty excited because they're like, my financial plan lives online. And I was like, wow, okay, like awesome. Like, come on, bring it in. I want to see what it's like.
Yeah.
And so they bring it in, and she's like, okay, here's it is. And she pulls it up, and I can see it's saying, this plan is being run, kind of like what Eric was talking about, on an 8% average rate of return. So I look at that, and I check their statements, and I look back at it, and I check, and I'm like, you've been with this advisor for 10 years, and your average rate of return over that time has been 6.5%. But your plan is being ran at 8%, right? It kind of contradicted itself immediately.
Oh
and it's
my
like,
gosh.
this isn't even me saying this. This is the plan itself saying this and looking at the statements and the actual rate of return. So again, there's a big lack of planning going on and keeping that plan updated too.
Most definitely, Joseph. Thank you for shedding some light on that. And Eric, what types of scenarios should people be testing their plan for or planning for even? Different types of scenarios to make sure they're going to be okay.
So over the past 25 years, what I've taken a look at is what a more successful investor is looking for. And we're not talking about people that have millions and millions of dollars. We're talking about normal, everyday people who are just trying to get through retirement. What separates them from someone else? And so what I've seen is that they are paying attention to their lifestyle. So when you go to the doctor and you're not feeling well and you feel like you have chest pains, sometimes they run a stress test.
Yes.
And what they're doing is they're hooking you up, they're putting you on the treadmill, and what you're doing is exerting pressure to your heart to see how it's actually going to perform. So they're doing a stress test. The same thing can be done for many components of your financial plan. So what you're doing is you're putting your different components of your financial plan through stress before anything happens, before an event happens, like a pullback or a recession or anything like that, to see how it's going to perform. And then you can break it down and you can stress test many different things. You can stress test your income plan, your financial plan, your healthcare plan, even your long-term care plan. You can take a look at the travel that you want to do and see if your rates of return can actually supplement that rate of travel that you want to do. So there's a lot of different things that we can stress test in that portfolio. And what we're seeing is that how it's going to do under exertion.
And that's so important because you just never know. You have to be prepared for anything the world brings us. Joseph, I also want to ask you, why do some plans look really good on paper, but they do not stand up in real life?
Yeah, well, retirement planning is not just a one-time event. It's something that you have to continuously update, monitor, and review. And I think where a lot of plans start to fail is they lack that ability to be updated, right? So our income distributions need to be reviewed. Our tax strategies need to be updated to make sure they're relevant with the current times. Even our risk levels in the portfolio have to be readjusted to be fitting our lifestyle. Think about the last 3 to 5 years of your life, how much has changed. Don't you want to make sure that your plan is changing with you? It's ebbing and flowing. It's staying up to date. I think we have to rewire our brains and start thinking about planning as what it truly is. It's an action, it's a verb, it's an ongoing process, one in which the goalposts are always moving. It's not just a noun or something you get once and somebody says, good luck in retirement. So success in retirement isn't just about having that plan, it's understanding how am I going to keep that plan as updated as possible to stay as accurate as possible too.
Sure, because life happens, things change, and you have to be able to be ebbing and flowing. I love that you use that analogy, Joseph. Thank you so much. Eric, what happens exactly when inflation, markets, and longevity collide? All of those, the perfect storm. Talk a little bit about that.
I think we're getting used to paying attention to one problem instead of everything. So inflation over time, especially the past 3 or 4 years, has made life very expensive. The markets, it's the same volatility that it was 25 years ago. And when we take a long look at longevity, we are living longer today than ever before. And that's why it's so much harder to do planning today. So when you take a look at all three of these, when you take a look at inflation, it has made the way that we live and where we live very different. Housing has gone up significantly. HOAs have increased. You have all these silly assessments. Property taxes and insurance have gone through the roof. So now we are looking for a different place to live. What's cheaper? Where can we go where we can get away from these expenses? That doesn't change anything. Everywhere is expensive anymore. So then you take a look at the markets and people have to worry about geopolitical risk and interest rates and rates of return. And now all of a sudden we have to worry about longevity. And you know how we take care of longevity? We put it off because all the market volatility is all we can concentrate on today. So we're not even thinking about 25 and 30 years down the road. The best time to do longevity planning is in your 50s, not in your 70s. So why do all these collide? Because we keep going into retirement thinking about one thing. And the majority of people are so concentrated on their investments, not really thinking about actual financial planning. And what we have to remember is the purpose of your life, how you want to live, your goals and objectives all come from a rate of return from your portfolio. But first we have to understand your purpose, and then purpose determines placement.
Eric, thank you so much. Joseph, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, there's a number for you to call on your screen. That number is 800-779-1942. What you're being offered today is one of two things. You can call in and have a 10-minute, just a consultation, if you will, over the phone with Eric and the team, talking about your goals for retirement. Or if you need more of a deep dive for your planning purposes, once again, that QR code is going to be on the screen. Just click that. That's going to be a retirement income guide that's yours for the taking. Find out where you currently stand. We can't encourage you enough to take advantage of this opportunity. Book the consultation, schedule the 10-minute call. We're talking about retirement planning. This is so important for your life because you've worked your entire life to get there. Don't you deserve to have peace of mind? Once again, 1-800-779-1942 is the number. We'll be right back momentarily after this very short commercial break.
Hey everyone, welcome in. I'm Joseph Lanza with Retirement Wealth Advisors, and today I'm joined again with Donna Crone, our certified financial planner. You know, Donna, today what I want to talk about is there's so many few people out there that even have a financial plan to begin with, but there's also this huge disconnect between people understanding how does my investment management coincide with my financial plan? How do those two really work together throughout time? That's what I want to talk about today.
You know, Joseph, what a lot of people don't realize, or when they think of financial planning, they think investment management only. But in fact, that's just one portion of the entire financial plan. But it is a very important aspect of the plan because there's a lot of factors that come into play in terms of the decisions that are made around portfolio management, portfolio construction, as they relate to the financial plan. Let me give you an example. Let's say a client retires and we go through a market downturn, we go through a recession, something of that nature. So through no fault of their own, they have this pile of money that a portion of it has now gone away. How do we manage that? They still need their income. They still have the same needs. That hasn't changed, but the assets available have. So how do we manage that? And it's called sequence of returns. So the financial plan gives us an idea of what, how does this impact the plan over time, which is very, very crucial. And it allows us to now go back to the investment management side and say, okay, what strategies can we employ to get them through this as smoothly as possible so that we can, further along in the plan, see a positive result?
Right, and that's where you heading up the financial planning department is really going to work with Eric and myself on the wealth management side throughout the year with that client, with their situation. You're building those scenarios. You're showing them, here's what happens if the market does this. Here's what happens if the investments do this. That way that client is never left guessing or losing sleep at night. It really gives them that comfort factor, if you will.
I would agree. And I think it's a great marriage of two disciplines within the financial services world that come together and really complement each other and really produce a very positive result for the clients that we work with.
Absolutely. There's so many different aspects here with financial planning. You have taxation, you have estate planning, transfers of generational wealth, sequence of returns risk like Donna was talking about, and that investment management piece. Donna, thanks so much for joining me today. Back to you guys in the studio.
Welcome back to Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Eric Kearney and Joseph Lanza of Retirement Wealth Advisors. We're talking a lot about the importance of planning for retirement and talking about the test that nobody ever runs. Have you test-driven your retirement plan? That's what today's show is all about. And when you think about it, it's like test driving a car. Like you would never buy a car without test driving it, but people sometimes fail to test that plan. And so, Joseph, I'd love to guide this to you because we all know the different phases of retirement. You've got the go-go, the slow-go, and the no-go years. Talk a little bit about why this planning process is so specifically important in the early years of retirement.
Yeah, there's a couple different reasons why. First and foremost, probably the most important one, what we know about sequence of returns risk, right? So now that we're going into retirement, we're relying on the portfolio for regular income. And just like how we can have compounding gains when the market starts to go up, if we're pulling income out of a portfolio that has a decreasing value, we can create compounding losses. So how and when we pull income out of the portfolio and what our actual rate of return is becomes much more important, especially those earlier years in retirement. But there's also the lifestyle aspect, which you actually just brought up already too, right? With the go-go years.
Yes.
We're spending more money than a lot of times we were during our working years because we're traveling more, we're experiencing new hobbies, new activities. So we want to make sure that we're accounting for those extra expenses in the financial plan. But there's also a behavioral aspect that a lot of people don't really think about. And that is, we just spent the last 30 years, maybe 40 years, putting our head down, going to work, focusing solely on socking money away in this account in pure accumulation. Now, and it can happen overnight for some people, you go into retirement, no longer are you putting money away into this account anymore. No longer is a paycheck coming in. You have to rely on that account for regular income. That's a huge psychological shift that a lot of people don't necessarily think about when they're going through this. And what we find is when people don't have a financial plan, or they're not really relying on income planning that much, those first couple of years can feel very lost and overwhelming. So that's why we focus so heavily on it. We want to make sure that we set the proper tone for a long and prosperous retirement in those first couple of years.
Makes perfect sense, Joseph. Thank you so much. Eric, I want to ask you a question about retirement investing. It's different than accumulation investing. And talk a little bit about that, because you're in the retirement years. How should your philosophy and your strategies change in regards to investing?
Yeah, so Joseph talks about a deep psychological shift, right? And that's something that we really have to have a deep conversation with our clients about. And the thing is that I do get it, right? So when we were younger, remember we talked about in a couple shows ago what it was like 25 years ago, what we were like as a person, and we could take on a lot more risk and volatility. So when we go into our careers, we start to save, we have a long time ahead of us. We actually appreciate the opportunities that volatility gives us. We can actually accept the risk. So we sock away money, we sacrifice, we're growing, and we love to see that growth. But at the same time, we're also younger, we can take on that volatility, but we also realize we're getting a paycheck. Now, all of a sudden, everything changes at retirement. Now we don't like the stock market. There's geopolitical risk. This world is getting so bad. We're getting these depressing newsletters, and just everything changes about the way that we feel. And there's a lot of people that start to give up. I mean, they literally start to give up on any kind of financial planning.
Right.
Here's the funny thing. If you're a rising star and you're this amazing athlete and you have gone through your whole entire season and you have sacrificed and you have won and you've been through different body aches and different injuries, but you made it to the championship. That's what it's like in your working years, right? We are working, changing jobs, trying to get ahead, trying to climb that corporate ladder. And it's not an easy place to go, but we get there. But then all of a sudden you get to the championship game and you're like, whatever happens, happens. That's how we're getting at retirement.
Yes.
And that's like, no, you've got to find the advisory team that's going to say, no, this is not good enough. We need to step on the gas and we need to get you through the next 25 to 30 years. You're not retiring into 1 year, you are retiring into decades. And so literally, this is where we have to actually step up the plan and say, look, let's de-risk the portfolio. Let's come up with imperishable income. Let's build you multiple streams of income so that you don't have to have these worries. But we can't just give up at retirement age.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because how often have you heard people say when they come into the office for the first time that my current advisor, my former advisor said, don't worry about it. It's a paper loss. Just you'll be fine. It'll come back. Because when you're in retirement, Eric, you don't have time to make up when you have losses, just like you do when you're younger.
Right.
So when you're running these types of tests, I have to ask you, what shows up? What weaknesses specifically, Eric, are you trying to identify?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people worry, can I actually retire this year?
Yes.
So when you run a stress test, what you're doing is you're taking a look. Can my portfolio survive volatility? Can my portfolio survive a recession? What about all the geopolitical risk that's going on? Look at all the events in the world that are changing the way that we live right now. Can your actual portfolio thrive through that? And then really when it comes to your income plan, start stressing that. Start doing a stress test on that about inflation, interest rates. Is it too conservative? Can you actually grow over time and outpace inflation? There's everything that can show up in a stress-tested plan.
Eric, thank you so much. Joseph, you were going to add something, please.
I was just going to say, I think that people are often shocked, and we always laugh about this, but when you're running somebody's expenses in their income plan and you show them, hey, in 10 years, this is what your expenses are going to look like with inflation. They're like, no, they're not. There's no way. And it's like, that's just a basic level of inflation, right?
Yes,
and people are shocked when they realize how expensive. And we talked in previous shows about how housing has gotten so through the roof with how much that is costing us.
Yes.
But also another one I think is taxation. People don't realize how big their tax liability is going to be in the future, right?
Yes.
And they're just focusing on these tax deferred accounts and socking money away. And when we run an income plan and show them that, hey, here's what your required minimum distribution distributions are going to be. 6 figures that you're going to be forced to pull out of your IRA account, whether you like it or not, and get taxed on it.
Right.
Yes.
And that only continues to keep going up. That's pretty eye-opening for a lot of individuals too.
Most definitely. I'm sure the taxes specifically, Joseph. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Eric, I know that you and Joseph have a very special message to the viewers at home. Please talk about what that is today.
Yeah, so if you're watching the show today, you feel confused, you feel overwhelmed, you feel like, honestly, I've never had a written financial plan before, we've got a couple options. First of all, you can call 1-800-779. We are standing by, and you can set up a 10-minute phone call with us. Or there's a lot of people that say, I don't need more information, I need strategies. And if you're looking for a strategy, give us a call and we'll do a personal financial blueprint for you based on your current portfolio. More than likely, you'll know more about your portfolio than ever before. And the bonus is that is yours to keep. You actually walk out of our office with that actual personal financial blueprint. So give us a call today.
Eric, thank you so much. Joseph, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, take advantage of the complimentary blueprint. These are your retirement years, and we can't stress this enough. You've worked your entire life to get there. Don't you deserve to have peace of mind? We think you do. How do you get that? You call in today, book the consultation. The number is 1-800-779-1942. Or if you prefer to use your smartphone, just open up the camera app, click on the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That's going to be the fast track to get on the schedule of Retirement Wealth Advisors. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. I have so much more with Eric and Joseph when we return.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, spending time with family, or are you too worried to even think about your hopes and dreams? Eric and his team can answer your questions with a complimentary review of your retirement and income plan, and it all starts with getting to know you. Because every dream needs a plan. Call Eric today and schedule your visit. You only retire once, so let's get it right the first time.
What I enjoy most about retirement planning is sitting down with you and having real conversations about your retirement dreams and goals. We specialize in helping people just like you prepare for the retirement they've always dreamed of.
Retirement Wealth Advisors with Eric Kearney.
Welcome back to Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Eric Kearney and Joseph Lanza of Retirement Wealth Advisors. And we're talking about the importance of you being ready for retirement and stress testing your retirement to make sure you're going to be okay. And Eric, I love that commercial that we just played because I saw the whiteboard behind you and I know that that's the office, but I want to talk about the classes that you're currently teaching as well. You and Joseph both. Talk a little bit about the classes, please.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been doing this for forever, and I love getting in front of people. And look, we don't do these silly dinner seminars. What we're doing is we've been teaching at FSW and FGCU for a long time, and the biggest thing, Cynthia, is that people want to be educated, right? They have so many questions.
Yes.
And so when we go through, what we're doing is we're constantly updating the class. And when they come in there, we don't talk about products, our services, or anything. It's literally educating people about where to start in their retirement. There's a lot of people, obviously, that are very overwhelmed. So where do you actually start with your retirement? How do you ease into retirement? How do you build income streams? How do we learn about investing? We talk about income planning and then estate planning. And we really go through and just try to help people understand their retirement a little bit better. So I love doing it. Joseph is very good at it as well.
Yes.
And yeah, if you go on to myincomeplan.com, you can actually sign up for upcoming classes.
I love that because like you mentioned, people love to learn and knowledge is power, especially with retirement planning. So thank you for doing those.
Sure.
So Joseph, I want to ask you, can a good market hide bad planning? A good market?
Absolutely, right. I think that when the markets go up, it could definitely hide a lot of structural flaws in somebody's financial plan. And I'll be honest with you, when the markets are going up, every strategy seems pretty smart as well. And those returns can even mask a lot of inefficiencies like excess risk or not doing tax planning. But those strong returns can also honestly make financial planning feel unimportant. Because what happens is people get blinded by seeing green in their portfolio. They look at their statements, they see things are going up, everything must be fine. But we find all the time that people have missing pieces to their financial plan, a lot of times crucial missing pieces to their financial plan. And then the market goes through an inevitable downturn, we have volatility, and those same people start to panic, and that's when they don't have anything to help them answer those questions. So this is why we want to do financial planning first. We want to identify, are there any of those missing pieces before we experience anything like that? And it helps us always stay proactive rather than reactive.
Joseph, thank you so much. And then Eric, how do you fix the problems that come up? Talk a little bit about that. When issues show up in someone's plan, how do you correct them?
Yeah, so this is a really good thing. So when you have a really successful investor and they really embrace strategic financial planning, the bottom line is that it's not to react to problems. It's actually to reduce the severity and probability of issues before they even arise. So what happens is when you're proactive and you see all these financial hurdles that are coming down in the financial plan, what you can actually do is you can look at it as like an engine light coming on in your car. It's alerting you to possible problems and scenarios that are going to come down the road. And then all of a sudden you can say, look, this is how we can fix these. This is how we can adjust the plan. So imagine going on a long road trip and you're driving about 1,500 miles and all of a sudden the engine light comes on. You really have two choices. You can pull over and try to figure out the problem, or you can keep on driving and see if it's going to work, right? But the majority of us want to pull over and fix the problem before it becomes a bigger issue. And so it's the same thing. We should have safety checks in that financial plan to know what's actually happening. And the one thing that I will say, our entire team understands where a particular client is through the financial plan. So when somebody comes in and they say, I have a huge problem, a lot of times Donna, who is our certified financial planner in our office, will take a look at the plan, and luckily she'll say, we already actually factored that in. So that's a really good feeling to say, we already thought that could be an issue for you. So again, we're trying to head off all of these issues really before they become a bigger issue.
And again, Joseph, it's about being proactive when you see something that's in someone's plan that could be going wrong.
Absolutely.
Correcting it before it becomes an issue.
Yeah, and I always like to say, I love when I can show a client how we're going to fix something or how something's may become a problem, not just tell them. It's like what you had said in previous shows too, Cynthia, about a client who their advisor always tells them you're going to be okay.
Yes.
How about you show me I'm going to be okay? What plan? How are you coming to that conclusion? Is that just your personal opinion, or are you actually putting work and data and facts together to show me that I'm going to be okay?
Yes, because you need peace of mind in the retirement years. Eric, thank you so much. And Joseph, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, thank you for spending time with us today on Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. The number to call is 1-800-779-1942. And you have two options with that number. You can have a 10-minute consultation, or you can book the true consultation, coming into the office, letting them get to know you one-on-one. Your specific situation for retirement needs to be uncovered. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. Thank you for spending time with us today on Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. We look forward to seeing you back 1 week from today. Take care. See you soon.
Hey, Southwest Florida, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions after today's show, please give us a call.
Remember, you only retire once. Let's get it right the first time. Have a great week and an even better retirement.